Welcome to Ask Cadence, everybody, the project management podcast. My name is Pete Wright. I am joined once again by Jay Christensen. Jay, how are you?
I'm great, Pete.
It's good to talk to you again another week. Another grisly project management problem. What we have on the problem cards today, and I want you to help me parse this. Can't work on the project because it's not approved or authorized. It's in the pre-funding stage. Everybody knows the project is coming, but again, it hasn't been authorized. I guess there's a corollary to that. There's too much activity to get done in too little time. I'm assuming that this person is experiencing the pressure of too little time because the project hasn't been authorized. We know that the deadlines are creeping up. We know it's going to have to be delivered. We have to get started on it, but it hasn't. It's slogged in some process, and yet maybe there's some work being done on this project illegitimately. What do you see going on here?
Yeah, I think what's happening here is that the person who documented this problem is aware of a project that is in some way crucial to either the company or the client. And this person is knowing that this is an important project and needs to be done. What they've also heard is that there is a deadline that has been established. Perhaps it's even been communicated by the management of this company, or the customer stakeholder has said that I need these project results by this date. Yet the upstream process has not happened to authorize the project. So the deadline is there. Everyone knows that this 800-pound gorilla is in the living room. This 800-pound gorilla is this project that no one has been approved to work on it because it's an unauthorized project. Yet the deadline is coming. So we have a little bit of a circular problem here.
It seems like who gets the authority to poke at it and push it through the process?
Yeah.
If there's no project manager assigned, and
right. So what can happen is that this person who's experiencing the problem then begins to behave like the project manager. And what I mean by that is then they take the lead role in bringing about clarification and definition of this particular project. And there's all kinds of things that has to happen. One, is the deadline real? Two, who set the deadline? Three, who is the sponsor? Four, who is the assigning manager? Five, am I the project manager? Six, if I'm not the project manager, who is the project manager? So this person can come up with an entire list of questions that they can then begin to use to drive their efforts in terms of bringing about clarification and definition for this project. If the person is not successful in getting the information from the organization, then the next step would be for this person to perhaps recommend that the project be officially canceled. It hasn't started properly. No one wants to take the responsibility for helping get it started properly. The organization doesn't seem to care about the project enough to put the infrastructure in place to manage the project correctly. So let's go ahead and just cancel it. Take it off the books. Take it out of people's awareness, and really let the organization know that, well, we thought there was a project here. We've gone through all these activities to bring definition, and we've not been successful. We can't find a person that would take ownership of this project outrightly from the organization standpoint. So it seems like it's just a low priority kind of thing that we can put on the burner.
Isn't there, forgive me for taking a step back, but it strikes me as you're talking that there's sort of already a process in place to deal with projects like this once the project actually becomes authorized. So as long as we're sort of speaking hypothetically, the project hasn't been authorized yet. We know there's going to be pain because the deadlines are approaching quickly. Say the project is authorized in a week. The process exists to go back and say, okay, now we know we've taken too much time. Something's going to suffer.
Yes.
And then we rescope the project.
Right.
Which is the sort of recommended approach? Letting the process take its natural course and rescoping the project when it actually finally is approved, or recommending that we cancel the project just to get the ball rolling in the first place.
No, in the case if the project was authorized within a week, like you had said, then what we need to do is, we hope that the project manager has been assigned, and there needs to be now some planning activity or some research activity. By authorization, if we apply that literally to the project life cycle, that would mean that the research phase has been completed. Let's assume that that's the case. Then, once the project is authorized, it needs to be planned. And that's at the point when we finish developing the first initial draft of the project plan. Now we have the detail necessary to go back to management and say, here is what we think is the scope, here's what we think the budget is, here's the schedule. By the way, the schedule is going to go beyond the deadline. So here are some alternatives for bringing in the schedule. Now we need to get into that negotiation. In some organizations, there's even a separate phase or a separate major activity within a phase that's called plan negotiation, and that's what they're really doing, is they're taking cost, schedule, performance and negotiating that with the sponsor. Once the negotiation is completed, then the team finishes the plan based on the new limits established for CSP, cost, schedule, performance, and the team is now off and running.
Well, so there are a number of ways to tackle this particular one, but the most important part is that whoever has the skin in the game, whoever's feeling that pressure and knows they're going to have ownership of some major deliverables, these are some avenues they can take to step up and push the process forward, whether you're, figuring out who the project manager is going to be, recommending that the project gets canceled to push the process along, or helping to reframe the project as ever it's appropriate. Based on new data.
Yeah, and by the way, you tweaked my thinking. In the previous discussion, I was really thinking that the person that was doing this activity was a single person, but your comment just a second ago indicated that it might be several different people. So what could happen then is these several different people, so to speak, they work together as a group, and they have a leader, if for lack of a better word, to help the team drive through this process that I have talked about earlier. This way, it is a collection of people that have this understanding about this project, and it's more of a compelling statement than just one person having waving the flag for the project.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and it also, to me, it reads as something that is far more constructive and something to be celebrated, that there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy around getting the work done. Let's just move it forward so we can get the work done.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, one of the things that this group of people or person needs to understand is a link between the project that is potentially going to be authorized and the goals of the organization. Because if you can't make that link and make that link fairly strong, then the reason for doing the project, or even spending more time on the project, is fairly weak and irrelevant. So we really want to make sure that this helps the company accomplish the goal, and that is some really strong leverage that the people can use to get the project authorized.
Perfect. Well, Jay, thank you very much. This has been an illuminating conversation. I hope it has helped some of you dealing with the same thing, getting your project started constructively with the right kind of support. Thank you so much for listening to us. On behalf of Jay Christensen, my name is Pete Wright, and this has been another episode of Ask Cadence, the Project Management Podcast.